already. I hope you got like listen, you have me in such a state of like mental, intellectual euphoria. I'm bugging out. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. Okay. I think I'm there. Go ahead, Rod. Go ahead.
Okay, so now, in what we know today is the Grand Canyon has the oldest sacerdotal seats of the earth.
Yes. Yes. Oh my God. And we
Temple
just
of Isis, Temple of Tahuti.
yes.
Now, there has to be a way where the ancestors leave us to reclaim everything. We call it the redemption process. How do you get from under admiralty jurisdiction and get back to the jurisdiction of the land? That's the great dilemma that we in, because everybody from your militia, Montana militia, to your Archway law, to your sovereign citizens, to your Moorish paradigm, they all trying to get from under admiralty jurisdiction, but they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
They keep using the admiralty rulings in order to try to force them to acknowledge their own rules.
Yes.
They
Yes.
don't acknowledge their rules when it apply to us.
Not at all. Not at
They
all.
only acknowledge them when it's to their benefit. That's why you have so many innocent people in prison. They don't care nothing about you screaming innocent. They don't care. I don't mean nothing to them. Everybody innocent according to them. That's what they tell you. Everybody in prison say they innocent. I ain't tell nobody that BS. I was guilty of sin. But I had a valid reason though. But I didn't never tell them. So they didn't never know. Right. So in the challenge to admiralty jurisdiction, you have to go back to your own cultural, historical record of oral tradition. In modern law tells you the parameters for what you call a oral law enforcement. It has to be in the public domain in a timestamp archivable format. Social media meets the criteria for public notice.
Sure. Sure.
The next thing you have to know in your public notices is who did it? The Dirty Moors. Where they come from? Europe. They got exiled, kicked out, came over here. Under the who told them to come over here? It was the discovery doctrine of the Pope and the papal bulls of the several popes before that. Right? Okay, so now we know who did it and where they came from and who sent them. Why did they come over here? Because when they brought them to the earth, wherever the hell they came from, other dimension, other planet, other somewhere, they didn't have a home nowhere on the planet.
No.
Okay, now that brings about a question that any sane person would ask. Well, where the hell they come from and how did God create somebody that don't got a homeland? We had a homeland. They want our homeland.
I have some theories to that, but you know.
Right. So now we hear about the Jewish God telling them he promised them a homeland. Mm-hmm. But if he's a righteous God, he doesn't have to take anything from anybody to give his people a homeland. He would have created them where they supposed to be and left them there.
Well, that's what the Orthodoxy, a segue of the Orthodoxy Hasidite community believe, that they aren't supposed to go to Israel. They're supposed to roam until such time.
Okay, now that takes you to the book of Job. Where comest thou, Satan? The sons of God came to prostrate before the Lord. And Satan came also among them. And the Lord said to Satan, where comest thou? And Satan said, from roaming to and forth, up and down, back and forth in the earth. Nomads. No homeland. Right? So if they don't got no homeland and Satan don't got no homeland and Satan is promising everything to Christ from the hill, remember? And the Christ was like, how the hell you gonna promise me this? You can't give me nothing. My father gives me everything. Right? Remember?
I do.
And he would refuse to bow down before Satan. Well, who the hell is Satan?
Who is Satan?
So so Satan is an Egyptian word. It's two words, and they've been the
Use.
positioning of the words was changed for the purposes of translation.
Absolutely.
The letters En means literally Lord.
Hmm.
Lord Set is Satan, the one who slew his brother in order to take his throne.
That's right.
All that sound familiar. Them sibling rivalries from Cain and Abel to Jacob and Esau
Betrayer of kin.
to
Betrayer of
Set and
kin.
Osiris to Enki and Enlil. The same story keep repeating.
It's the same. It's zeitgeist. It's the same story over and over, repeating. It's the same thing. Yeah.
Now, it's seasoned like a good cooked meal with the culture of the local people. If the local people believe something, they will adapt that same storyline
To fit their narrative and their
to
culture.
fit their culture.
Yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely.
now understanding that when you're looking at it from that lens, you start to see that we had a savior story over here. It's called Popol Vuh. But we didn't have no brother sibling rivalry over here.
No, no, it wasn't a story in the lexicon of any of the natives here. No.
Right. Because now that they've been over here, they got something called, I think it's called the Panapi Bible or the Lenape Bible, where they said that they killed Jesus and they wasn't never even over there in the Middle East.
Mm,
They had to change the narrative because they said, so you people killed your God and you want us to follow your God after y'all killed him.
mhm.
We don't ascribe. But
No.
when the translators retranslated it, it said that the Lenape killed Jesus.
They'll just
Yes.
change it to fit the narrative of the culture and
Right.
the land map wherever they're
And
living.
and we have what you call modern paradigms to show us the historical repeat. Example, when they came over here and set up America, they set up what's called an interim government. It was a wartime interim government. The modern example is the Gulf War after 9/11 when they put Mohammed Karzai in power. That's the same thing they did to Adam Weishaupt, and they called his name George Washington.
Okay.
So the stories, they all scramble like eggs. It's like unscrambling an egg. It's almost impossible, but it's not. Right? Now, when you're looking at the understanding of a interim government, then you will realize why the police is an occupying foreign military power masquerading as serving and protecting the people of the land when they charter and they instructions come from the
Cool.
Crown of England in
That's
London.
right. Yes. Sure.
Hold on 1 second.
Take your time. All right, is everybody enjoying this? My mind is blown, like little pieces of the puzzle putting together. Yeah. I'm not as biblically sound, but little things that I know, and you're putting that together, cinching in bits of information that had no place, that now have a place, can house somewhere that I didn't have an understanding of.
Yeah. So the first gods that was creating people was women by parthenogenesis,
Absolutely. And still to
right?
this day, there are women who still participate based on genetics and some environmental factors, can still give birth through parthenogenesis. Not very often, but occasionally you'll get it.
It happens more than we possibly could imagine.
More than they'll report.
Yeah, sometimes you will have a child and the girl be only been with one man the last 5 years, right? She have a baby, but the DNA don't match.
That's right.
Because
Absolutely.
the woman, all of the people that she dated before that she had sex with, she have the genetic data in the Queen's chamber of her brain.
We keep all DNA. We keep it and we source it. And what's interesting about that is that most women, and this is not, we're not medical, we're not doctors. I have to say that this is, quack quack. But, when we talk about fibroids and the people who have the most fibrotic kind of symptoms or have that in their body tend to be melanated women. Those are the original women that were able to give birth through the process of parthenogenesis. So with some of the things that they give people at birth, I personally, as someone who worked in genetics, think it's something that was meant to stop and hold that process of being able to birth ourselves.
It's totally possible because the fibroids is normally the side effect of an acute toxin buildup around the uterine area.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when the body try to stop a toxin, it normally encapsulates it in a pus ball, and over time the pus ball turns into a tumor.
It does. It does.
Because
But
it's
sometimes
steady
with hair and
sending.
teeth, hair, teeth, nails, reminiscent of a little being. Yeah.
And so you don't know that a woman can have a man in front of her and he got missing qualities genetically that she want to produce. So she go into the Queen's chamber in her brain, pull out
She
her
built him.
library of DNA,
That's right.
and use him as the outline, and then she fill in the template.
She colors in the lines. Yeah.
Yep, that's
This is true.
mitochondrial power at work.
Absolutely. And this is also why back in the days, kings and other men only wanted virgins because they overstood and understood that if they weren't the first to participate with this young lady, most likely she was stockpiling DNA from previous lovers. Yes,
Yep, and that's why the virgin has been revered so greatly,
absolutely.
right? And um, most men don't want to take care of another man's child if he could have his own.
Absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with that.
And that's social engineering as well, because if you go to the gorilla clan, look at a tribe of gorillas, right?
Hmm.
Silverback, he ain't the father to all of the children in the clan,
No, no, he
but
isn't.
he will give you the same amount of the business about one of the ones that ain't his as he give you about his.
That is true. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
So this is why the gorilla totem is a powerful totem for an aspiring father to be associated with, because he's going, if he accept that woman and she got babies, them his.
that's right.
Because
Yeah,
he gonna give you the same amount of the business about the ones that he taking care of as the ones he produced.
that's right.
He not gonna discriminate. He gonna F you up about all of them.
That's right.
Right. And that protective instinct is a father's instinct that matches the mama bear. Like, people don't understand that women have the ability to use the laws of nature to her advantage to protect her children. Right. When you look at the mama bear as the prime example of what I'm talking about, she can be 150, 200 pounds smaller than a big male bear.
Hmm.
She can't beat him if she ain't got no babies. He'll run her away
Hmm.
if she ain't got no babies. But if she got some babies,
Oh, she'll bring
she's
it to him.
activating multiple laws of nature simultaneously. Her
Mm.
ferocity is unmatched,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
right? And then she got him on the run. She'll run off a whole pack of wolves about her babies
She will. She
by
will.
herself,
Hmm.
right? That's the woman in Shakti mode, in Kali Ma
Hmm.
mode, in Sekhmet mode.
That's right.
The
Take your
goal
heads.
is for a man to come into a woman's life that's in that mode and take her from Sekhmet to Bast, or to Isis, or to Venus, or to Oshun.
Yeah,
He don't want her to come in with that war energy, because now he at war in his own home. And he
yeah.
don't even know why. Because I don't know what your linguistic restrictions is, but she see you as a bitch ass nigga. And since she see you as a bitch ass nigga, she can't boss up or relax, create the feng
I
shui,
agree. I agree.
the heaven at home, because she don't know if somebody
Yeah.
come crawling in the window at night, do she got to go confront the enemy?
Yes, exactly.
Because
Debate.
his bitch ass might be behind the bed hiding.
That's right. Or screaming, running. You've seen it like,
All that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now they make parodies out of it and they turn it into comedy so
They
it'll
do.
seem somewhat normal.
Yeah, they're normalizing it. Men running away, running in front of the women, leaving the women vulnerable to whatever comes, to attack them.
That's not, and under the matriarchy, it's zero tolerance for bitch assness in men.
I'm with you on that. Yeah.
That's not tolerated under matriarchy. But when you being governed and ruled, and your future is dictated by homosexual pedophile priest cults, they want to effeminize the man to hypermasculize the women so that we will slow down our reproductive rate, so that
Absolutely.
they can control our baby producing abilities.
Hmm. And they're doing well, it's really affecting many other they thought it wouldn't affect the birth rates of others, but it's affecting, other people are having zero birth rate now
We baby
because of that.
kids.
Hmm?
We baby kids.
Yeah. We don't
This
die,
is the
we
thing that they
multiply.
found out during the last 500 years that they didn't believe was true.
Hmm.
The harder you oppress us, the more we proliferate.
Oh, absolutely. As a survival mechanism.
Yeah.
Anywhere where you have mothers that have the most amount of poverty, and you see it in places like South America and Africa, where there's the most amount of poverty and adversity, you'll see a multiple births coming out of that to give her more of a chance of survival and for her bloodline to be able to have some form of satisfaction, whether it's one or two. So you'll give birth to 10 if you have a higher mortality rate, just to give you a chance to progress your.
If you go back to the 70s and the 60s, they was trying to encourage what they called the four family household. A man, a woman, a boy, and a girl. Don't want you to have no more than two children.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
And they use that as a standard in the wealthy community
Of
and
course.
the ones that were so-called privileged,
Hmm.
right? That's so that they can say the reason that I'm poor is because I got all these babies,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? Which is not true.
No.
The
Tribal children
wealth,
always were assigned and built wealth. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
yeah,
So the large families are the ones who have the most capability of overcoming the oppression, because one of them in that family is going to see something that the rest of them not going to see.
that's right.
So our women was having 12, 13, 15, 18, 20, sometimes 30 kids,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? And
That's what
don't mention the fathers,
that's what Planned Parenthood was for,
right?
in the
That was
hood.
to slow down, trying to stop baby kids because they
Hmm.
can't stop us.
We gonna have babies until we die.
Yeah,
And that's what we were supposed to do, reproduce, and that's part of being fruitful, right?
yeah. Be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth.
Absolutely. Yeah.
How can you
Yeah,
replenish something that don't have nobody here?
it's true. And also,
Replenish means to fill it back up. It's been depleted,
yeah. And also that's
right? That's a refill.
absolutely. And also that's why they promote, menopause, pausing on men from many different places, from the islands, give birth until darn near they nearly die or kaput.
Mm-hmm.
But they make certain processes that you have to go through, telling women to go get your daily mammogram, and then all of a sudden, oops, oh, your menses is gone. I wonder why.
Yeah. Well, that's chemically induced.
Hmm. Hmm.
One of the biggest causes of menopause is birth control pills,
Absolutely. And
right?
birth control pills are not only in the pill form, they're in food form too. Remember that.
Yeah. And now it's in the water,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
along with the hormones and all that.
Psychedelic
Uh,
drugs, yeah, all that good stuff.
so now you got animals that don't have the level of resistance of a human spontaneously gender transitioning.
Mhm. Started with the frogs first, most sensitive to the environment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Frogs were switching sexual disposition, actually gaining some of the gonads, actually growing wombs because of the exposure in the soil to the lexicon of chemicals that were coming out of the sky via the governmental chemtrails, which are harmless, according to the federal government.
For the last, ever since the first Trump election, they've been spraying stuff to try to clean that up. And this is why you have it looking like rocks falling out the sky.
Mm,
It's binding agents that bind to those chemicals to get them out
mm.
of the air. In some places, your snow, it looked like styrofoam because
Oh yeah.
it's
Yeah.
binding agents.
Yeah.
In some places, they even literally raining rocks.
Yeah.
Well, all that's the stuff that they using to clean up the chemtrails. But we don't know. We out here going about our daily life, la-di-da-di-da. Somebody was terraforming the earth for a new species to inhabit it.
Absolutely. Giving us the
Right.
blueprint in social media for us to accept certain types of new physiology, them, they, Zerzy, all kinds of new wording to accept a new kind of, geoengineered life form, or
Yeah.
a life form that was being introduced here, like the other life forms that came previously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when we looking at the totality of the picture and we come to now, what's taking place now, based on what historically has happened, they days is up. That's it for them. It's over. Now we seeing the rollout of the ones that's sending these orbs ahead of them before they get here. The government desensitizing the people with drones the size
Absolutely.
of SUVs.
Absolutely.
And you know this because Donald J came on and said they know exactly where they at. If they came out of a garage, the military can go
They
right in
know
that
where they,
garage.
absolutely.
They know where they came from. They know where they went. That's the drones, but that ain't the orbs.
But you notice that they purposefully created a new term called UAP to take away
Mm-hmm.
the verbiage UFOs, which is classic. And they
Mm-hmm.
make sure they keep saying drones, but they don't tell you this these light ships. And some are diamond-esque type of macabre looking ships. They don't speak about that, and they don't tell you why there's plasma shooting at the orbs, shooting some of them down. I mean, not the orbs, shooting at the drones, shot a few of them down. Um,
So when you get to the biblical description of the angel and they draw the picture and they give you the Dyson sphere,
mhm,
that's what the orbs are. Those are
absolutely.
satellites. Those are reconnaissance satellites that is sent ahead of the fleets before they get to their destination. Wherever they
Yeah,
coming from, if
they're
they coming
scouts.
from the inner earth, if
Yep.
they coming from a parallel dimension, if they coming from outer space, if they coming from a different time zone, wherever they coming from, they send those orbs, those Dyson spheres, as satellites. And all of those, what appear to be eyes, are just cameras. They give them a 360-degree panoramic view of the layout before they come.
Mhm.
So when they come, they know where they're going. They know what they're
Absolutely.
about to enter into before they get there.
Mhm. And the orbs are actually placed on, we've noticed and documented, they're over every landmass, and it's usually one, if it's a smaller landmass, so you'll see the orbs positioned there. So they're definitely documenting the area and getting a scope of what's going on. And the other places like Jersey, maybe where there's more nuclear facilities and more, that's where the drones are erecting in more masses to try to accommodate and try to cloak the others that are here. Yeah.
So let me point out something since you brought up New Jersey.
Yeah.
Noble Drew Ali went into what's called the Moorish Zionist Jewish temple and discovered the magic that they was using to subjugate the people of the land.
Mm.
He came out of, this was in New Jersey, in Newark, New Jersey. He came out of the Moorish Zionist temple and established the Moorish Science Temple, right? Because it was a direct confrontation to the Moorish Zionist Jews, right? These Moorish Zionist Jews is niggas.
Which is Sephardic, just FYI. They usually sometimes they call themselves Sephardic.
the Sephardi are the Spanish converts, pale skinned Spanish converts. The original more Zionist Jews was nappy head niggas, right? And they live across the land in gated communities, and they talk about us like a dog, metaphorically speaking. And they don't like us. And the only time we gonna see them is when it's time for them to send in what we call operatives to interfere with some progressive movement we have.
That's right. And they start working side by side, looking like you, but they're not you.
And they maybe their famous thing is kill Whitey, but we don't know he Whitey until we read Black's Law 5th edition, meaning a white, free white person in law. It mean a Moor. So when you read Secret Relation Between Blacks and Jews, printed by the Nation of Islam Research Team, you will realize some of the places where these Jews is wasn't no pale faces into the 1900s.
Nope. They were all brown.
Then, I'll show you another one.
Yeah.
This book right here is called Empty Wagon.
Empty Wagon.
Oh. This is a pale-faced Jewish rabbi. The subtitles say Zionist Journey from Identity Crisis to Identity Theft.
Ooh.
The book is about...
What year was it written? What year was it written? Can you see?
Let me look.
I'm sorry, because I went to school with Dr. Jeffrey, so I wanted to know.
You Dr. Jeffries.
Which is friends with Malachi Z. York, yeah. He was my professor in college.
Yeah. You mean Dr. Leonard Jeffries?
Yes. Isn't it synchronistic?
Yeah, that's something else. You know, Dr. Bean wrote a book called We the Black Jacobins.
Yes.
Right. So if
you can find the data, don't worry. I'm going to ask you later because I want to find out if it syncs with something else. Yeah.
It's right here in the front of the book. Armament in the dome. But it's just a radiation barrier, and the radiation is so thick, as soon as you hit it, it's an instant reaction. Right? And it's a light conjure using beams and rays of light at angles and octaves that the Pleiadians is the masters of. Right? And then the Arcturians is giving them an energetic support. So they the ones that got us locked in the matrix to solve the problems of the matrix. So we come in, we like a computer virus repair program into the matrix to repair the damage done in the matrix by a virus. The virus in this case is those who don't belong here. So as the antibodies of Earth, the Earthborn formulate a plan and establish a system in order to reclaim Earth from whatever the threat is. The T cells that organizes the immune responses and tell the white cells what to attack, right? As the foreign agent. Now, the T cells are also called the generals of the immune system. So now we're talking warfare on Earth played out like an antibody response in the body. Comparative analysis, as above, so below, as within, so without. You can see it play out in the stars, on the Earth, or in the body. But you have to know how to read the signs in order to translate it and do the comparative analysis to see two things that you originally thought was totally unrelated was directly connected. Because you didn't know how to flip the mirror and see it. The mirror is where they got us disoriented at. They gave us south and told us it was down, and they gave us north and told us it was up, and it's exactly the opposite. They used the pole shift phenomenon in order to shake us up and confuse us like we spinning on a top, right? Once you start looking at south as down, your orientation is in the opposite direction of its intended purpose, right? They want you to keep looking at the sky so you can't never understand what you're seeing on the ground. So you focus on what's in front of you before you start looking up for answers.
And that makes sense, Rob, because they told when they came, when these black conquistadors came with they Roman Catholic Christianity, they told us we'll get our pie in the sky. And really, our pie is in the reverse. Our pie is really down here, because if we could get our pie in the sky, why would the Anunnakis come down from the sky, coming down to get some pie? They came here to get the pie. They came here looking for gold. So so why we got to go in the sky to get our pie when they came here looking for pie?
It's an inversion principle, right? If hell is hot, right, and they got you looking for your pie in the sky, they sending you to the sun, right? Because they don't want you to turn back to mama, because she gonna nurture you and nurse you back to health. No matter how old you is or how sick you be, if she here, she gonna nurse you. This goes back to the symbolism of the Black Madonna and child, the mother holding the child, the son. He's the crown prince, and she's the nurturer who's going to nurture him and teach him everything he need to know how to reclaim the throne by learning how to read what his uncle did and what his daddy did and the difference in the two by comparative analysis.
Hey, now that makes sense, because now this is another thing. This probably be all talking, but people was asking questions about this. Some dude was saying about government look like it's still in business as usual. When we touched on this a little bit about how they using the wag the dog thing at the Tyler Perry studios. Could you talk just a little bit on that? Because I got a whole bunch of questions on that recently, even after we did the show talking about it a little bit. About them doing the reenactment.
If you call somebody in DC that goes down around them buildings and ask them if they all fenced in, they've been fenced in since 2020. They're not using them buildings, and construction's been going on at the Capitol building. So they're not having Senate hearings there. And they have sets, Hollywood sets. You can find these images on Google where you can see through the crack in the wall outside, right? When you look through Joe Biden's window, it's not the scenery that you would see from any of the other White House pictures. It's got props behind it. We gotta pay attention to them little subtleties, tell you that they in studios.